Hi, third graders. Welcome back to our class Read Aloud. Tomorrow, girls, Behind the Gates. Yesterday, we've ended at a really good spot. We ended where the girls were now put into groups for staying in their dorm type setting. And the four girls together are Louisa and Maddie, of course. Evelyn, which was the girl that's taking all the notes. And then they also were paired up with Rosie, the athletic girl that was kind of bossy. And they're in the room and they're just kind of talking things out. And we ended the chapter where Evelyn had pulled out a compass out of her pocket saying that this is how she was tracking the direction. And Rosie's like, who cares about, why do you care what direction we're going? And the last line was, Evelyn said, you might want to know in case you want to escape. So that brings us to chapter 5. Here we go. I'm impressed by the dinner buffet. I have to stand there for a minute, staring at all the options. Pasta, salad, tofu burger, fried soy chicken, or frozen soy milk. There isn't steak or anything crazy, but when we sit down, Maddie says that her tofu burger is the best she's ever tasted. There's not a lot of it, though. Just enough for one serving, like always. Mom says that people used to count their calories because they were afraid of eating too much. I can't even imagine that. We don't have a lot of food these days like that. The dining hall is huge, fitting in all 300 of us at once. Apparently, girls have been arriving by the busloads all day, coming from Chicago and some other bigger cities in the area. Girls were already sorting themselves into small cliques that sat together at the long tables. Evelyn and Maddie and I, we were eating together. Rosie, though, went to join the athletic crowd that she befriended on the bus. As I was sitting and eating my salad topped with the grilled soy chicken, I continued to look around for electronics. I learned from some other girls also sitting at our table that the lack of outlets is just the beginning of the no electronics story. CMS has no television, phone, or internet service. Hydro and solar power sources fueled the lamps and water systems, but everyone will have to get by using pens and pencil. After we eat, we're told to assemble in a very big room right next door. Mrs. Brewster is there, sitting in a large, overstuffed chair, and the rest of the staff was surrounding her. MUL sits to the right of Mrs. Brewster, next to Debbie. She smiles and waves to Maddie, Evelyn, and me as we enter. When we're all settled on the carpet around the staff, Mrs. Brewster stands up. I trust you all enjoyed your meal, she begins. She smiles and nods as a murmur of positive responses were rising from the crowd. We have some more school guidelines to go over now, she says. Since this is the first day, we have gone much later than usual. Starting tomorrow evening, curfew will be 7 o'clock. 7? Jordan Barker yelps. Let me remind you girls to be raising your hands before you speak, Mrs. Brewster insisted. Sorry, Jordan muttered. At 7, you will be expected to be in your rooms. By 8, lights must be out, Mrs. Brewster continues. Classes start at 7 a.m. sharp, which is after breakfast that runs from 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning. A girl raised her hand and Mrs. Brewster points to her. Won't we then have to be getting up in the dark? She asks. Sometimes, depending on the season, Mrs. Brewster confirms, without a note of apology. Every day we will have a lot to cover, and that's why we rise early and we go to sleep early. You girls represent the privileged children of our country. You are the important ones on earth. Who wants it? A girl said in the back. They can keep the privilege. I expect Mrs. Brewster actually to scold her, but she didn't. In bed by 8, up by 6 a.m.? I haven't had those kind of hours since I was in the first grade. I don't know if I can even sleep at 8 o'clock at night. Is it even dark out at that time? In the winter it will be, but not yet. I've been hoping for more freedom at Country Manor, but it seems very strict. I'm not sure how I feel about all this. Whether you accept the challenges that lie ahead or not, they will surely fall upon you, Mrs. Brewster says seriously. It's almost like she was reading my mind. It actually kind of scared me a little bit. Country Manor is not some luxurious resort, Mrs. Brewster continues, freaking me out even further. It's as if she's, though, responding to everything that I've been thinking. If that's what you are expecting, get rid of that notion right now. Every one of you will do your share. Kitchen duty, grounds patrol, and sanitation aid positions are assigned at the end of the week. Kitchen and sanitation jobs will rotate throughout the year, but patrol duties are an honor assigned only to girls who prove themselves to be deserving of a position titled the Student League. Those posts will be held as long as the chosen girls prove themselves worthy and dependable. Big deal, Evelyn said under her breath. You get to patrol the grounds. Ooh, what an honor. All meals and classes will be taken here in the main building, Mrs. Brewster goes on. Behind the main building is the gym where the pool is located. Behind that is the athletic field. That field is where you girls will learn sharpshooting, archery, and survival skills. Pay close attention to these classes. What you learn will be applied soon when you are sent on overnights out in the woods. Now I was surprised to hear this, and from the looks on their faces, so was everyone else. Camping is not something anyone does anymore in our world. It's not safe for many reasons. Aren't there wild animals out in the forest? A girl asked, after Mrs. Brewster pointed to her raised hand. And what about those rattlesnakes you mentioned? Another girl blurted out. If you pay strict attention during your classes, you will be fully prepared before being sent out, Mrs. Brewster assured them. A dark-haired girl raised her hand and was called on. Why do we have to practice all this nature stuff? She asked. Isn't nature kind of ruined anyways? I mean, who goes outside anymore? Country Manor is located in one of the last of the nature's unspoiled strongholds. We feel that it is important for you girls to know nature so that you can protect it and restore our planet when this war is concluded. When the natural world recovers from the current crisis, you will possess the skills that might otherwise have been lost. Do you really think nature can recover? Asked a girl with long, straight black hair. I mean, in school they told us that our planet has been polluted beyond any chance of recovery. Well, they're wrong, Mrs. Brewster said. There is a passion in her voice that I couldn't have suspected to be even more capable. CMS feels strongly that you girls need these skills. We will teach you to provide you to be productive members of the new society. Mrs. Brewster says new society just like that, like it's capitalized, like it's something that we should already all know about. But I've never heard of that term before. It sounds kind of exciting, I do have to admit. Maybe being a swimmer will have its place in this new society. If they're teaching us to clean up the lakes and whatever else, and if the sharpshooting and archery and survival skills, all that sounds cool to me too. And they have a pool? During my swim team days, I didn't care much about winning. Sometimes I won. Most of the time I did place. But now I feel that stirring of something new inside me. I glance at the clique of the top athletes sitting in the corner and imagine myself sitting among them. It could happen if I give it my best shot. Like a flash of light all at once, I realize that being a champion swimmer is something that I've always wanted my whole life. It just never really seemed remotely possible. But I'm wondering if it is possible here. As much as I love my parents, and I know they love me, and being a doctor was the only thing that was considered important, it didn't matter that it wasn't what I wanted. Now, it might be super strict here, but I think I'm actually really going to like Country Manor. After Mrs. Brewster's finishing answers all the questions, we were allowed to wander the grounds. I want to read while we still have some light, Maddie says to me as we're leaving the building. Do you mind if I head back? Oh, sure, yeah, go on, I agree. See you back at the room. We put our keys around our necks on chains. We wave them to each other with an ironic smile. It's nice to have something like this to hang on to, now that we don't have our ID bracelets anymore. I watch her go, and then I take off on my own, and of course, the first place I head is off to the lake. And as I watch the reflection of the sky darken in the water, I notice that the boys' school is pretty well lit, even before nightfall. The flutter of excitement I'd felt before was growing a little stronger. I can't figure out a stupid pencil. I'd been taught how, after all. It had been a while, but whatever, everyone else is on the same page. Literally. Before she finished her speech, Mrs. Brewster had something about progress reports being sent home to our parents. But this isn't home, and Mom and Dad will no longer be able to see me stumble over my math homework every single day like when I was in Chicago. Of course, it isn't complete freedom, far from it. I still have a curfew, and I'm still a kid. But look at this. I'm all alone, practically in the woods. Maybe I have found the new society after all. That brings us to chapter 6 that we will enjoy tomorrow. So, I wonder more about this new society. Interesting. I also think it's rather interesting that the whole key idea, like, your house keys, that this is a new concept to them. So apparently, their world is so advanced in technology that they're not used to putting an actual key in. So I thought that's kind of an interesting thing. All right, third graders and my other friends that are joining us, have a wonderful day, and I will come back on tomorrow to share more of our read aloud. All right, see you then.